Hi guys, this is me, Vishnu Ram again with another chapter from your 10th class textbook, The First Flight. The chapter is a poem named How to Tell Wild Animals. This is our fourth poem in our textbook, and this poem is all about animals. It's a humorous poem written by Carolyn Wells. Carolyn Wells is an American English poet. She is known for her works for children. She wrote a lot of mysterious thrillers, short stories for children, and humorous poetry. And the prescribed one, How to Tell Wild Animals, is an example, is a fine example for Carolyn Wells' humorous poetry. Let's get into the chapter, How to Tell Wild Animals. Everyone has got their favorite animals. And my favorite animal is wolf. Yeah, I love wolves. For particular personal reasons. Anyway, everyone has got their favorite animals just like dogs, cats and all. And we know that how to categorize them or how to identify a particular animal or how to distinguish a particular animal with another one. Because we know their identifications, characteristics, their color, their size, their special features, their habitat, a lot of things. We categorize animals on the basis of different things. But how Carolyn Wells categorized, how Carolyn Wells describes how to identify a particular animal, it's really humorous. She won't tell that it's a, for example, if I'm telling about elephant is a big animal, black in color, has got tusk, has got trunk. She won't tell like that. We are expecting a kind of description like this, but the actual description what Carolyn Wells gives or how to identify a particular animal, that particular description given by Carolyn Wells is entirely different from our concept. Let me read the poetry for you. If ever you should go by chance to the jungle in the east, and if there should to you advance a large and tawny beast, if he roars at you as you are dying, you will know it is the Asian lion. Guys, how funny was that? Suppose you get a chance to visit the jungles of East. This is how our Carolyn Wells starts that poem. Suppose you are getting a chance to visit the jungles of East and you are confronting an animal, a big, tawny beast. Tawny means a brownish yellow in color. So, a tawny big beast, but you don't know what exactly is that. But if it roars at you and the single roar, with a single roar, you are dying. Like I'm dead with a single roar. Then you need to understand that that's none other than the Asian lion.
Did you hear that? The future king!
Oh, don't hurt me. Oh, do it again.
Or if sometime when roaming round, a noble wild beast greets you, with black stripes on yellow ground, just notice if he eats you. This simple rule may help you learn the Bengal tiger to discern. The Asian lion's roar was actually amazing. Then Carolyn Wells talks about another animal which is very much noble. As you roam around, it will come to you and greets you. Hello, how are you? Glad to meet you, maybe glad to eat you. After greeting, it will start eating you. When it starts to eat you, just notice the black stripes over yellow background on its body and understand that's a Bengal tiger. If strolling for the beast you view, whose hide with spots is peppered, as soon as he has leapt on you, you will know it is the leopard. 'Twill do no good to roll with pain, he'll only leap and leap again. Guys, here comes the next one. If you are strolling really, you know what, maybe you are strolling means leisurely walking. So suppose you are walking leisurely and you find another animal which is having a peppered body. Peppered here is used as having a lot of spots. With a body full of spots and it just comes and slowly it comes over you and leap over you. Understand that it's a leopard. How far you cry, how loud you cry in pain, it won't do any good. It will leap and leap and leap and leap. And this is what is given in that particular stanza. But have you noticed, instead of L-E-A-P-T, left, and instead of L-E-A-P, leap, the poet has used L-E-P-T, left, and L-E-P, left. Why? Here I am going to introduce something to you, maybe for the first time. There is something called poetic license. A poet is having a license to alter certain spelling of a word, so that the poetry is more musical. To make it more musical, to rhyme it with the word leopard, Carolyn Wells changed or altered the spelling of leap and leapt. Made it L-E-P, leapt, so that leopard. That's it, to make it more musical. If when you are walking round your yard, you meet a creature there who hugs you very, very hard, be sure it is a bear. If you have any doubts, I guess, he'll give you just one more caress. Guys, if you are walking around your yard and a creature comes and hug you, understand that it's a bear. This is what is written in the stanza. So bear is that much lovely animal. Wow. First, she started with the Asian lion, which actually frightens you with a single roar. Second, tiger that eats you. Third, a leopard will leap over you and attack you. But when she told about a bear is so lovely creature. It will come to you and hugs you. To make it sure that it's a bear, wait for the next hug. Think about it, man. Really funny, right? Do you think that a bear is that much lovely to give you a hug and go back? Never. So guys, don't think like that. Next time when you see a particular bear, don't go near him and give a hug, because there is no way back. Though to distinguish beasts of prey, a novice might nonplus, the crocodile you always may tell from the hyenas thus. Hyenas come with merry smile, but if they weep, they are crocodiles. Now, in this stanza, Carolyn Wells tries to distinguish between a hyena and a crocodile. How can we identify it's a hyena or it's a crocodile? What is the difference between them? She says hyena comes with a smile, where crocodile always cry. Maybe you heard about crocodile tears. There's an idiom, crocodile tears, right? Which means a false false cry or false emotion. Hyena is the only animal that actually produces sound that resembles almost human laughing. Okay, and this is how Carolyn Wells distinguished these two animals. The true chameleon is a small lizard sort of thing. He hasn't any ears at all and not a single wing. If there is nothing on the tree, it is the chameleon you see. It is the chameleon you see. It is the chameleon you see. This is the last stanza where Carolyn Wells describes about a chameleon. You know a chameleon, right? A chameleon, according to Carolyn Wells, is a lizard sort of thing. A lizard-like creature without any ears and without any wings. And she says that if you look at a tree and you didn't find anything, the tree has nothing, then it must be a chameleon. Why she says that? Because chameleon is having a natural ability to change its skin color, skin tone according to the background, according to where exactly it sits, so that we couldn't be able to find out a chameleon. And she says that if you look at a tree and there is nothing there, it must be a chameleon. So guys, this is the end of the poem, and this is how Carolyn Wells describes or identifies certain animals like Asian lion, Bengal tiger, the leopard, the bear, hyena, crocodile and chameleon in her own way of identifying animals. And this is how she humorously expresses a different perspective to understand animals. So this is the end of the chapter, and now we are going to discuss about the poetic devices used in this chapter, in this poem. So, we will start with the rhyming scheme of the poetry. The whole poem is in a rhyming scheme A B C C. We can check it with the first stanza. The word chance and advance, they rhymes. Then east and beast also rhymes. And the last two lines, dying and lion, they too rhymes. So we can note it as A B C C. This rhyming scheme repeats in all the 6 stanzas. Look at the third line of the first stanza. The vowel sound U is repeated in should, to and you. As a vowel sound is repeated in the adjacent words of a line of poetry, we can say that there is a use of assonance. And one more poetic device is used in the first stanza, that is enjambment. As you can see, the first line is not finished and continues in the second line without any punctuations. The same thing is happening in the third and fourth and fifth and sixth lines. Now we can go to the second stanza of the poem. As I already told, the second stanza also share the same rhyming scheme A B C C. The last 2 words of the first line of the second stanza, roaming and round, R sound is repeated. As a consonant sound is repeated, we can say that there is the use of alliteration. There is a passive reference of a place in the last line as Bengal tiger, and it can be noted as the use of allusion. The third stanza too have the same rhyming scheme. In the third line, the consonant sound h is repeated in the words he and has. So that is a use of alliteration. The spelling of leapt, L-E-A-P-T, leapt, and leap, L-E-A-P, leap, is altered deliberately for the musicality of the poem, which is known as poetic license. And in the last line, lep, the word lep is repeated twice, which can be noted as repetition. In the fourth stanza, as the first line continues to the next lines without any punctuation, as we already mentioned before, it is enjambment. In the third line, her sound is repeated in who and hugs. You may have a doubt that the word who is not starting with H but with W. Then how can we say that it is her sound or it is an alliteration? The sound h is repeated. It is not the letter but the speech sound which is repeated. So it is the use of alliteration. In the fifth stanza, in the second line, n sound is repeated in the words novice and nonplus. In the fourth line, the sound is repeated in the and thus. Both are examples of use of alliteration. In the last stanza, in the words he and has of the third line, the consonant sound h is repeated. And it is again, obviously, the use of alliteration. I guess everyone enjoyed the lesson. Read the poetry again and thank you.